everyone, and welcome to the rules overview and tutorial playthrough for Resident Evil 2, the board game. If you would like to follow along in more depth or read further into the advanced rules of the game, the rulebook is available through Steamforged Games' website. The link is in the description. First thing we're going to go over is some of the contents of the game, which are in the early pages of the rulebook. We have our player characters. We also have our enemies, such as zombie dogs, lickers, and normal zombies. The tiles and terrain elements, including sustained effects tokens. Other items that we will need for our playthrough include the item deck, which will have your herbs, ammunition, and such. The character profile reference cards, as well as the enemy reference cards. Furthermore, we'll need our tension deck, which is made up of green, amber, and red cards, our health track and player tokens to represent our health, as well as ammunition dials and dice. Okay, first thing we're going to look into is our character profiles, how to read them, and how to set everything up. As you can see on the screen, we have Leon S. Kennedy with his health track marker at fine. Denoted by number 1 is obviously the character's name. Number 2 on our list is the inventory limit, or the maximum numbers of items a character may be carrying. Third on our list, denoted by number 3, this is how many attack dice a character rolls when making an evade roll, or blue dice. Number 4, each character does have a set number of weapons that they are proficient with and can use through the game. The character may pick up weapons that they are not proficient with, however they cannot use them to make attacks. And number 5, you can see that each character does have special roles or special abilities that they can use throughout the scenario or even per action. And when you're setting up your gameplay area, you do want to make sure you leave a little bit of room beneath your character or next to your character card. That way you can place your cards from your inventory, such as your weapons and healing items. Next, we're going to discuss the attributes of the board itself, or playing area. The playing area is broken down into 4 basic components. The overall tile itself, which you can see outlined in the dotted red line denoted by number 1. Number 2 is a single square within the tile. Number 3, you'll find biohazard symbols placed throughout the tiles in different locations. Those are spawn points and where enemies will most likely pop up at you. And number 4 is the slightly bolder red line that goes around the outside edge of the tile, and that is the wall. Characters cannot pass the wall except through an open door. Also, we're going to discuss in this portion the line of sight. Whenever you go to make an attack in Resident Evil 2, the board game, you must have line of sight to your target, which can be determined by, are you able to draw a straight line from the center of your square to the center of the square the enemy occupies. If you are able to draw a straight line, then you have line of sight and you can continue with your attack action. Continuing on, we will now discuss how to read the enemy reference cards. Number 1 on the card will be the list of the enemy type, or the name of the enemy, in this case the zombie. Number 2 is the enemy's hit points. In this case, the zombie has a hit point of 1, so if it suffers 1 damage, it is then killed and removed from the playing area. Number 3 is the enemy's movement spaces. So in this case, the zombie has a movement of 1 square per action or reaction. And number 4, that shows us the zombie's basic attack profile, listing its range of the attack and the effects if it hits. In this case, the zombie has a range of 0, which can only attack if in the same square as the character, and if the attack is successful, the character suffers 1 damage. In this next section of our rules overview, we will now discuss the basics of gameplay. In Resident Evil 2, the board game, players take turns activating their characters and move clockwise around the table. A character's activation is made up of 3 separate phases which must be completed in the following order: the action phase, the reaction phase, and the tension phase. First, let's go ahead and talk about what happens during the action phase. The action phase is when characters interact with their environment. A character may perform up to 4 actions during this phase, and the possible actions are move, open and close a door, search, trade, use an item from their inventory, or perform an attack. So let's go ahead and look into a little more detail on our actions we may perform each turn. A character performs a move action and they may place it into any adjacent square, including diagonal, as long as it is not blocked by an intervening wall or a corner, and you may only move between tiles using an open door. Speaking of doors, a character in the same square as a door token may flip the token to open or closed position. Let's look at searching. A character may remove an item token in the same square and draw a card from the corresponding item deck. However, a character cannot use the search action if their inventory is currently full. Characters may also choose to trade with each other as long as the character is in the same square as another character or an adjacent square. They may exchange any number of items between their 2 inventories. Also, you may use an item during your turn, allowing you to resolve the text on the card, such as healing using an herb or first aid spray, as well as reloading with ammunition. And lastly, we have the attack option. We're going to look a little further into detail for this one. In order to make an attack, the character must use a weapon in their inventory that they are proficient with. When you make an attack, you must follow this process. Shown here on the screen, we do have our handgun reference card. Firstly, you would declare the target model and which weapon you will be using to make the attack. The target must be in line of sight and in range of the weapon being used. You can find this information on your weapon reference card under number 1, shown here, which is the targeting reticle. In this case with the handgun, it only denotes line of sight, so as long as you can draw a straight line from the center of your square to the center of the enemy's square, you are considered to have line of sight. Second, you would reduce the ammunition dial by 1 point. Shown number 2 in the top right corner of your weapon reference card will show you how much the maximum ammo capacity for your weapon is. Thirdly, you would roll the attack dice indicated on your card, shown as number 3. In this instance, you would roll 1 blue dice. And if at least 1 single hit or double hit is rolled, the attack is considered to be successful. If no hits are rolled, the attack is then unsuccessful. Following number 4, if the attack is successful, you resolve any effects as shown by the icons on the weapon card. In this instance, a single hit would result in being able to push the enemy 1 square, either away or towards you. And if you would roll a double hit, you would deal 1 damage to the enemy. Also shown at the bottom of the handgun card is the rapid fire icon. What that means is when you make an attack with a rapid fire weapon, a player may spend 1 additional ammunition point to roll an extra blue dice, or 2 additional ammunition points to roll an extra 2 dice. So essentially with the handgun, per each attack action you can roll up to 3 blue dice, and you would just spend 3 ammunition on your ammunition counter. Next, let's go ahead and discuss the reaction phase. In Resident Evil 2, the board game, enemies do not have their own turn. Instead, they lurch forward to attack as nearby characters dash past or draw attention to themselves by making noise. Once a character has completed their action phase, their controlling player must perform a reaction for all enemies which are on the same tile as the active character or on a linked tile. Linked tiles are considered any tiles that are connected to the active character's tile through either 1 or more open doors. When performing the enemy reactions, you can resolve them 1 at a time and in an order of your choosing. For instance, if a character is in range and line of sight of an enemy, the enemy will perform a basic attack. If multiple enemies are in range to attack a character, only the enemy with the highest threat level will perform a basic attack. More information on this will come when you go to play Scenario 2A, however, the threat level will not change during the tutorial mission. In the event that an enemy cannot perform an attack, it will move up to its movement value towards the closest character. Enemies observe the same limitations on movement as characters and must take the shortest route ending in the same square if possible. Once all enemies on the same and link tiles have performed a reaction, you can then move on to the next phase. But before we do that, let's discuss the basic enemy attacks and how to evade them, as well as out-of-sequence reactions that the enemies may perform. First, we'll look at an enemy's basic attack. Each enemy has a basic attack profile listed on their reference card, which details the range of the attack and the effects of being hit, denoted by number 2 and 3 on the enemy reference card. When an enemy attacks a character, the controlling player may make an evade roll with the number of dice listed on the character's profile card. To successfully evade the attack, the player must roll at least one of these, or one of these. If the evade roll fails, the character is hit and suffers the effects listed on the enemy's attack profile. After resolving these effects, if the attacking enemy is in the same square as you, you may then push the enemy, moving it to an adjacent square. If the enemy is on a large base, such as a licker for example, or if you have multiple enemies in your square, the evade roll becomes more difficult. For instance, if you had these 2 zombies in your square, rather than rolling any evade, you would have to roll one of these or one of these. It may also be good to note that if there are multiple enemies on your square, only one of them performs an attack. Next, let's go ahead and look at out-of-sequence reactions. Although there are specific phases for the enemies to make a reaction, some enemies will perform additional reactions if they are provoked or have faster reflexes. Some things that may provoke an enemy to make an additional reactions would be making an attack. If you perform an attack, the zombies will then move towards you due to the noise, or if they're in your same square and you miss, they will immediately attack you. Another time is if you're performing an action other than an attack in the same square as an enemy. So if you were to try to use a green herb to heal yourself while in the same square as a zombie, you will have to make an evade roll to avoid being bitten while you try to perform this additional action. As stated before, you can perform an attack in the same square as an enemy, however, this is usually only advisable as a last resort. A character making an attack against an enemy in the same square would perform the attack as normal. If the attack is successful, then nothing happens. However, if you do miss the attack, the enemy will immediately get an attack against you that you cannot avoid. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next phase. The last phase in each player's turn is the tension phase. Each scenario in Resident Evil 2 the board game utilizes a unique tension deck representing both the growing sense of unease and urgency felt by the characters and the unexpected events which might befall them. During a character's tension phase, their controlling player must draw a card from the tension deck and resolve any text on the card. If a player is required to draw multiple cards, resolve effects in the order in which the cards were drawn. The tension deck is made up of 3 different types of cards. Green cards make up most of the tension deck and are non-hostile, indicating nothing presently seems to be amiss or threatens the characters. Amber cards represent strange noises, sudden movements, or an unusual situation nearby. These cards typically force players to make difficult decisions about how to proceed. Red cards include dire events such as zombies breaking through windows or barricades, or nearby enemies unexpectedly lurching into action. They nearly always spell disaster, and players will soon come to fear them. In the event that a player is unable to resolve the text on a tension card, for example, if a card would spawn additional enemies when none are available, place the card in the discard pile and draw 2 additional cards from the tension deck. Now that we know how to activate the characters, attack with enemies, and use the tension deck, It's time to set up our first scenario and try to make our way through the Raccoon City Police Department. Okay, so now that we have a basic understanding of the rules, let's go ahead and see if we can put them into practice. I've gone ahead and set up the tutorial scenario as it's outlined in the rulebook. So let's go ahead and take our first turn. You may notice I did set this up with 2-player characters, Leon and Claire, rather than just one, as you would normally do for a solo scenario playthrough. But I wanted to have more activations, more time to go through the tension deck, try to show you a little bit of everything that goes on in this game. So, we're going to start out with Leon, and for his first action, we're going to move 1, second action to move in with the zombie here. Third action, we are going to attempt to dodge away. Now, Leon does have 2 evade dice, so as long as we get a small, medium, or large evade roll, we are good. Okay. That was a successful evade, so I can move past for my third action, and fourth, I'm going to go around the corner. So, now that I've taken all 4 of my activations, the reaction phase begins. All of the doors on the map are currently closed, so there's only one zombie that is linked to my tile, and he will make a move reaction to come closer to Leon. Next, we draw a card for the tension phase, and we are all clear. On to Claire. Claire's first through third actions, we will move 1, 2, 3, and for our third action, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to shoot this zombie ahead of me here. I'm going to use 2 bullets, and since she is using the handgun with the burst or rapid fire ability, you can spend up to 3 bullets, and for each bullet you roll a dice to see if you can hit. So I only managed to roll a single hit, so I will simply push the zombie back, and that ends her fourth action. Therefore, the zombie will now react and move back towards Claire, and we will draw our tension card. All clear. Alright, Leon, back to you. So we're going to go ahead and open the door for our first action. And as we saw from the map setup, all the rooms in this scenario are green, so we will not need to roll an encounter die. So 1 to open, 2 to move in, 3 to close. And you may hear some of the sound effects playing in the background. Those are courtesy of Obadiah Luna. He has created an immersion app with multiple music and sound effects from the game. And our fourth action, we will go ahead and move again. So, doors closed, therefore no zombies are linked to my tile, so no one will move. So we go ahead and go straight to the tension deck. Ooh, Echoes in the Darkness, which reads, place an Echoes in the Darkness token on the tile occupied by the next character to activate. If a character is on the same tile as this token at the beginning of their tension phase, they must draw 2 additional cards. Discard the token at the end of the next activation. If the next character to activate is on the same tile as a boss, this card has no effect. So there are no bosses in this mission. So we'll set this over here with Claire. And if for some reason she does not make it off of this tile by the end of her turn, she will have to draw 3 rather than 1 tension card. So, speaking of Claire, Claire's going to go ahead and she's going to attempt to kill this zombie a second time. And this time we're going to fire 3 bullets because we didn't have any luck with 2. Again, we only have a single push. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to push the zombie closer to us. Because I've already used up 5 rounds and we're down to 10 bullets with Claire. So second action, we're going to move. Third action, we will attempt to evade, which I succeed. So third action, fourth action. So the zombie will now react and move closer to Claire. And once again, we draw 3 cards since we are still on the same tile as Echoes in the Darkness. All clear, all clear, and all clear. Wasn't so bad. Not always going to be that way though. So, back to Leon. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we will go ahead and draw another tension card. All clear. Back around to Claire. Claire's going to use her first action to pick up the item she's on, and that is item deck A. And we have a green herb. Alright, so Claire has a little space between her and this zombie, but she doesn't want to waste any more ammunition in her gun, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to knife him. I got a single hit, so that is a push. So that was our second action. Third action to move up 1. Fourth action, we're going to try and knife him again. Double hit this time, and therefore that is 1 dead zombie. So now we're going to move back onto Leon once we draw our tension card. Ooh. Oh no. Undead ambush. Spawn 2 zombies on the same tile as the active character on the closest spawn point. So per the rules, we'd never spawn a zombie on the same spot as a character unless it specifically states to do so. So we're going to be spawning 2 zombies right over here. There's our second guy here. So now we're back to Leon. He will use his first action to search item deck A. Another green herb. So second, third action. I'm going to go ahead and leave that door closed. I'm going to skip my fourth action because I really don't want that zombie to get any closer to me any sooner than I need him to. So we're going to go back to Claire. So we're going to try and hurry up and get out of this room and leave those 2 zombies that just spawned in the dust behind us. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 to shut the door. And Claire sees there's a zombie sitting right in front of her. She's not too keen on that, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to fire another 3 rounds. Okay, and we did get a double hit, so dead zombie. So 1 to open, 2 to move through, 3 to close, 4 to shoot. So nothing connected to our tile, so we go next to tension. All clear. Back to Leon. Leon's going to go ahead and open the door for 1. Move through for 2. We'll go ahead and shut for 3. And Leon's going to press his luck. He's only going to fire 1 bullet here. He just wants to see if he can get that headshot off. He misses. That's our first miss, I think. So the zombie will react and move towards the sound of the shot. That was Leon's 4th action. So now it is the zombie's reaction phase, and he will move in with Leon. So now we draw on tension deck, and we are again all clear. So now let's go on to clear. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now currently there's no enemies on the tile I just left, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that door open. I'm not too worried about anything following me at the moment. Since there's nothing linked to us, go straight to tension. All clear again. Alright, so we're on Leon. He's going to go ahead and he's going to try to knife that zombie. He's going to try to save his ammo here. So he's going to roll, and he gets a push. So he's going to push the zombie away. That was his first action. Second action, he'll fire 2 shots. A double hit gets the kill. Dead zombie. So that was his second action. Third and fourth to move. Nothing to react, so we will draw from tension. All clear. All right, back to Claire. I'm going to go ahead and open the door for 1. Move on through in 2. We're going to leave that one open because we don't feel in any danger with that open behind us. So Claire now has 2 remaining actions. Since the zombie's only 1 square away, we're going to go ahead and try and knife him. Swing and a miss. So the zombie moves on to our square as a reaction. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to press our luck. We're going to try and knife him again. We miss. So, first time we've encountered any kind of real danger. The zombie's going to go ahead and bite Claire, so we're going to lose 1 point on our health track. And since we did take damage, we can now go ahead and we can actually push the zombie away from us. So, that was, unfortunately, Claire's 4th action. So even though we push the zombie away, he does get to react now during the reaction phase. And he's going to move right back in with us, and we're going to draw attention. All clear. So, next up, back to Leon. 1, 2, 3 to open the door. And oh my, there's 2 zombies behind it. Not something that Leon exactly wanted to see, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to fire 3 rounds, bringing us down to 9 shots. Try and take one of these guys out. This is our 3rd action. Double hit, or 2 single hits, which means we can push a zombie 2 times. So I'm going to push this guy 1, 2. This one will react to me. So let's see. Move, open, shoot. We're going to go and move through for our 4th action. Zombie's reaction phase. This one will move in with Leon. This one will move closer. Tension deck. All clear. So, back to Claire. Well, Claire's going to try and swing that knife again. It is a single hit, so we do get a push. We're going to push the zombie back a square. For our 2nd action, we're going to go ahead and close that door in his face. And our 3rd and 4th action, we're going to move towards our next item deck here. And nothing to react. There's no open doors in the way. So we draw our tension card. All clear. Leon. Leon's going to try to simply just shut the door. Now, since he is trying to perform an action other than attack in the same square as a zombie, we do have to roll to evade to see if we can perform the action. I failed, therefore we will push the zombie out after taking 1 damage. Now, seeing as we took damage, that is, in effect cancels our action, so on to our 2nd action, we will shut the door. 3rd action, move to the item. And 4th action to search, which only 1 item in the B deck, and that is a shotgun. So, the door is closed, nothing to react to us. We're going to draw another all clear. on to Claire. Claire will first action search the item deck, which gives us some handgun bullets. And Claire's about halfway empty, so we're going to go ahead and use this, which you may discard this card to increase the character's ammunition dial for a handgun, custom handgun, or Colt SAA by 8 points. So we are at 7 shots with Claire currently. That will put us back to full 15-round magazine. So that was her second action. Her third and fourth actions will be to move, try and come over and give Leon a little hand, and tension for all clear. So, on to Leon. 1, 2 to open the door. We're going to go ahead and use that handy dandy shotgun we just found. We're going to fire a shot. With the shotgun, we get to roll 2 dice, and on either a single or double hit, we deal 1 damage. So, unfortunately, it is not a burst weapon. I did roll well enough to deal 2 damage to a single target. So we're going to kill 1 zombie. And the second one will move towards us, since it was not affected by the attack. Third action, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and shoot again. Another dead zombie. That takes care of Leon's fourth action. Draw attention. We are again all clear. Now, for this scenario, we are allowed to shuffle the tension deck when we run out. In later scenarios, however, in order to reshuffle the tension deck, you would need to either use an ink ribbon, or the deck may have specific cards that instruct you to shuffle it. So, back to Claire. Claire knows that Leon no longer needs her help, so she's going to go 1, 2, and open the door. That was her third action. For her fourth action, we'll move onto the tile. And this zombie will react. All clear. On to Leon. Leon will 1, 2, 3, and 4 to open the door. And tension. Ooh, not again. Undead ambush. So we're gonna spawn 2 zombies on the closest spawn point, which happens to be right next to Leon. That's not good for us. Alright, Claire. Claire now has the opportunity 1, 2, 3, and 4 to open the door to the Raccoon City Police Department. Fortunately, she will not get to move through on this turn. This zombie will now move. Back to Leon. Leon's going to go 1, shut the door for 2, 3, 4. Now, since Leon is on another tile that is connected to this tile by an open door, this zombie now gets another reaction, and he will move towards the closest player, being Claire. Claire now has an opportunity to exit to the Raccoon Police Department. Let's see if we can just try to evade by this guy and get out of here. We are successful, so Claire has now left the playing field and no longer needs to draw a tension card, per the scenario outline in the rulebook. And we move on to Leon. Leon's going to go 1, 2. We're going to go ahead and fire Well, let's go with the shotgun. Let's make sure we get this guy out of our way. Yeah, dead zombie. Tension deck. All clear. Now, since Claire's left the field, she no longer takes a turn, so we just get to continue moving on as Leon. Just before we move on to the next scenario, Leon's going to make sure he's feeling well. He's going to use this green herb to go up to 5. So that would be his first action. Second, third, and fourth to leave into the Raccoon City Police Department. So we have successfully completed the tutorial mission of Resident Evil 2, the board game. We have managed to navigate the streets and make it all the way to the Raccoon City Police Department. And in pretty good standing. Leon has full health. Claire's only down by 1. And per the campaign rules, each of them gets to reload their handgun to full. And any special weapons, such as the shotgun, magnum, grenade launcher, get to be increased by 3 for their ammunition. So Leon will actually have a full handgun and a full shotgun going into the second scenario. Hopefully, through going over the rules and by watching a playthrough of the tutorial, you now have a better understanding of how to play Resident Evil 2, the board game.